Hi. So I never thought I was going to be telling these stories this way. I really thought it would be very different, but I'm taking too long, and whether it's safe or not anymore, I don't think it really matters. So you need to know that there are other beings. There are other beings from other worlds. We're not alone. God didn't make the heavens just for you. We are a divine image of God. Our DNA is very special, even though that's why it was altered. For that very reason. Um, there are other beings. I'm talking about all kinds. There are other creatures from the cosmos, from Earth. There are beings from different dimensions that share the space with Earth. Quantum physics says that the nearest dimension is less than 1 millimeter from our skin. And that there's 12 that they know of, maybe more. All of these dimensions, all interacting in the same space that our dimension exists in. So imagine that if there's one other dimension, the very first one, just 1 millimeter away from your skin, how often is that touching you? How often could there be a glitch? And what dimension is that even? What's there? What are on all these 12? All sharing the same space, not even leaving Earth, not even leaving what we call Earth, not even going into space or space coming to us. All of these dimensions already existing with us in the same space that is our space that we breathe, that we move around in, that's in front of us and ahead of us. All this space is shared space. It is filled. Every atom, every molecule, every dimension is filled with something, some type of consciousness. And that's the gift of God. God made sure that there is nothing emptiness, no type of emptiness around, right? It's not empty. Okay, all right, let me get through to that. So, excuse me, listen, just because there's other beings from all sorts of dimensions and whatever, from wherever part of the dimension that they come from, that doesn't make them like more special than you or closer to God or more awake or aware. You're a human being, yeah, a lowly little human being, they say. No, we were created by God. Our DNA was altered, and we were supposed to live a completely different life than this. That's why we call it a fall. A fall is a fall is a fall. And we are definitely not having risen up and living as we should, right? So things are going to have to change, and it's going to be a hard change. Now the question is how involved are they going to get? From which dimension will they come here, or will they just continue to just watch us and poke at us and do their little things that have nothing to do with us? They're just taking care of themselves, saying hello when they want to, messing around if they need to. And that's about it. So the first time that I ever saw any type of craft was not close. It was on my birthday. I turned 10 years old. Wait, let me see. Yes, I turned 10 years old. My dad and I had taken a walk. It was our first like real intimate chat for maybe ever. And I came back and I was on the balcony on the apartment and I looked up at the moon. And he was next to me, still talking to me about something. My present that year had been a bicycle. And it was outside, and I was looking at the bicycle on the balcony, and all of these things, all happening at once. And when I look up at the moon, I see a little white bright light flashing. But as it flashed, it proceeded to go around the moon. Flash, 1, 2, and it would disappear. Flash, 1, 2, 3. Then it would disappear, and then around on the other side of the moon. Flash, 1, 2, 3. I said, how is anything going around the moon so fast? And how am I seeing something out around the moon, going around the moon, all the way out in space, going around the moon, flashing with a light, not in our solar system? And I said to my dad, do you see this? What is this? What's this thing going on around the moon? While it's flashing, while I see it doing its pattern, he looks right at me and he says, I didn't see anything. Now, if that happened all my life, like where everywhere I turn, I'm seeing things that nobody else is seeing, all right, then you can question. But this isn't a daily occurrence, and that had never happened before. And it wasn't me. He couldn't see it. It was for me, but it wasn't for him. They were saying hello. And that year, 89 and 90, I was 9, 10 years old, and I tell you, I experienced so many intense spiritual awakenings, and that was the year that there were these little creatures that lived in my bedroom. I had a stepmom that really resented being my stepmom, and I was the oldest, and she would send me to bed before my brother, who was 4, and my little sister, who was 2. And I was like, please don't send me to bed without one of them going to bed first, because otherwise weird things happen. I don't mind, you want to be mean, send me to bed early. I'm not trying to fight you. I'm not one of those kids who was like really standing my ground. What ground did I have to stand on? Who was going to look out for me anyways? But anyhow, every night that I went to bed alone first, which was most of the nights because she really didn't like me, except on the weekends, couldn't say anything. Weird things happened, and there were these noises, and they were noises of little beings, and they would come out. I never looked, okay? Not once would I look. Come on now. But they were like maybe this big. You could hear them. They weren't rats. You'd see signs of a rat or a mouse or any type of insect or rodent. It would have left some sign. And, she had 2 kids in there, including her own daughter who was 2 years old. She would have dealt with that, So they only came out when I was there. And it was like connected to a big tree that hung over the bedroom and had steep roots. And I think there's like some sort of a fairy, elfin, smaller being world doorway that the apartment was like situated on. And so they knew it was safe to kind of come out when I was there, even though I was scared shitless. I never touched the floor when they did that. Like, I would just like jump on a dresser that was right by the bunk bed, because I was on the top bunk bed. So that's how I felt a little bit safe. And I could hear them down below. And they would come out from the closet, come out in the room, do their thing. But it was like we were sharing space again. So I didn't feel like they were just in my room. I felt like they were there, but I was hearing things maybe I wasn't supposed to be hearing, right? But I just never looked. That was the rule for me. Because I saw a ghost when I was a little girl, and he was in my bedroom. He was really mad at me. I woke up and this guy was standing at the foot of my bed staring at me. Someone stares at you, like he stared me awake. And this motherfucker was like see-through, but like a solid see-through. And you almost could see bone and like shadow matter, but it was like just the strangest guy. And I woke up and I did like some mental, like, juju. It totally was like, dude, I looked at him and I said, you're Big Bird. And like, I told him like, whatever you are, whatever, like, I'm turning you into something else. And then I put the covers up over my head. Again, not looking, just remembering, just like, don't look. and then covers up over my head, and I went back to sleep. Like, I never looked again. Like, I just acted like he didn't exist at all. But he hated me. He was like, you little girl painting the walls and decorating. This is my bedroom. It's mine. I was like, oh my God, okay, dude. You're a big bird. Go back to sleep. Like, obviously, when we're children, we have skills we don't even know we have, and we have encounters that we don't even know how to explain or talk to anybody. I didn't go like, hey, there was a ghost in my room last night. I just dealt with that on my own. I was like 4 years old and battling ghosts because, like, that's just what you did. Like, no one tells you different. You just do it, right? So that was my first experience, was being a kid, seeing this thing and already knowing that there were things no one believed in, and hearing these little creatures and like having these intense spiritual experiences all through like 8, 9 years old. When I was 9 years old, I started cracking backs and necks like a chiropractor. I was taught by a chiropractor to massage my father who had an injury and crack his back and his neck. He was 6'2" and I was a little thing. And I was over there, crack, 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 massage, massage, massage. I started my healing practice when I was like 9 years old, 10 years old. Like, who's, like, it's ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like, we were little adults, especially if you were born in the 80s and you were a 90s baby, a 90s teenager kid. You were tough. And not just because you played outside all day. Trust me, there were like 15 generations before us that played outside all day. Everyone played outside all day. You know what I mean? Like, it used to be, if you were 4 years old in France, you were an adult and you could go to work. Get over to the mines, go wash some clothes, little 4-year-old. You could pick up something, do something, you go into work. You're an adult. So it's like ingrained in a lot of us to think that we're like adults young because it's what they did to us. They made us a little adults, So that's a whole other subject. But I'm just saying that was like my first experience. But in that, you got like a little bit of story about like these other creatures that I never looked at because I didn't want to see them, but I could hear that they were little and that they were walking around on 2 little feet and that they were like whispered to each other. And I was just like, oh. You know what I mean? Like in bed, like, oh my God, don't look, don't look. And I'm up on the top bunk. So I'm just like, oh my God. Torture. And because you don't know what's going on. Like, nobody's guiding you. I didn't have a guide who was like, it's okay that you hear little creatures at night and see things nobody sees. Well, around the moon, little lights around the moon, and you see ghosts, and God's been talking to you since you were a little girl and helps you save people's lives and do all kinds of stuff. Can't save your own. Didn't save your child's. Because sometimes, even if you got the skill, God doesn't let you do anything about it because the contract is not yours. It's with someone else. God and this person have a contract, and God knows you're too smart and he would stop that contract square in its fucking pants. And so he just doesn't tell you what he's going to do. So don't think just because you hear God's word or you feel God's word or you are like prophetic or any of that stuff or a time traveler like me, that it means that you have any control at all. Like, all you have is a gift that everyone has. Everyone has. God gave all the same things to everybody, equal. But some people's skills are more fine-tuned or stronger and are able to survive both the DNA cutting and reassembling, or have like ancestors guiding them, or certain genetics that allow for the DNA to not be quite as band tight and allow a few strands open for like, even if they don't get to fuse, they're still like part of those strands are still out there picking up data. It's just not, it's static, right? It's not going to be organized data, unfortunately. But we're in the fall, but our God is working to, amongst the law that he created, allow for the love and the forgiveness to bypass the laws of the universe so that we may not fix the fall, but overcome even what was broken, because what is broken is not broken. It's the most beautiful, beautiful world that you could ever imagine, this Earth. And even out of all the galaxies and all of the solar systems, Earth is a special, special place. Just like us, small. We think, there's something better out there, more advanced, a bigger Earth, a better planet, whatever. No. Now, God took little pieces of all of the different worlds, a planet here, a planet there, a planet there, a planet there, and he brought it all to Earth to be together. It's like the most miraculous, beautiful, living terranium. And he brought the things that are special, and he invited the things that are special, and he gave life to the things that were special. And some of them had already been in existence for billions of years, but only on one planet. And he brought it here so that when other beings come here, they can find unique substances that no one ever experienced before. Again, hence a Garden of Eden, right? But no, we don't have all of that for the moment. We have to get there. That's going to be a lot of hard, painful sacrifice and suffering and work. But doesn't matter if the aliens come. Ignore them. Just go about your day. No, what I mean is, like, if they come, don't you dare start worshiping them. But don't treat them like they're evil either. They're just another creature, like from the sea, like from the forest, and you find something new and you say, aha, it's a new creature that we never knew existed. It's the same. It's no different. But they can maybe be approaching us from a format there. They think that they're better than us. And so you always have to be aware of when someone thinks they're better than you, right? On Earth, in the stars, anywhere. Doesn't matter where. It's when anything thinks that it has better value and you have less value, then you have a chance for a master, a slave, a manipulator, a victim, war, famine, all of these things. So we have to see when they come, if they ever do show themselves to enough people that we all are very, very clear that they're here. Not just a few chosen people so that everybody sounds crazy. I saw a spaceship. Believe me. Well, it doesn't matter, because that's the truth. Is that until you see that spaceship, my seeing a spaceship 1, 2, 3, 4 times, dealing with extraterrestrial events, crazy things, those were all real because other people saw them too. They were all witnessed events. They weren't just me that saw it. I have like witnesses, but they don't want to come forward. They might not want to say anything. They might not want to say anything because, just like me, I didn't want to say anything, and I'm probably more vocal than most people. So yes, there are things, there are beings, there are other dimensions, there are other worlds. And our God is an awesome God, and he created all of these worlds and all of these beings and all of these creatures, and they all deserve love. And our family, our Christ family, is something that is galactic. It's a galactic Christ, the Christ that sits in heaven. That's the Lamb. That's our Christ. So, we have to be willing to share him with all the universes and all of the love that we have in our hearts. We need to be able to share that with all the beings, even if they don't have it. We can show them what true Christ love is. No evil, no good, no bad. We're just all from God. And maybe some haven't made it there yet, right? We used to be afraid of the whore. We used to be afraid of the homeless man. We used to be afraid of the leper. We used to be afraid of the diseased person. We used to be afraid that someone wasn't circumcised properly, or that they didn't have the proper mark, or whatever it was that made them an outsider, that they just had a certain blood and came from a certain country. We weren't allowed to speak to them. They were untouchable. This is done. This is done. And if you keep going like that, you might be controlled by them. They're never going to be controlled by you. So make the choice now not to ever be a victim to any other being on Earth or any other dimension or any other world. It will benefit you to stay close to the source, the Holy Spirit, our Hana spirit, our Ura, and not Allah. Live as one, with one heart, committed to kindness, peace, and happiness. And 3 meals a day for children all around the world. And no more children slaves. And no more children anything other than happiness and laughter. Just laughter and happiness. Peace on earth is children's happiness and full bellies. There is no other peace on earth but that.